Hi everybody, this is Dr. Erin English, welcoming you to our week 2. I hope you're having a wonderful week and a nice weekend. I wanted to review a couple topics right now that just to make sure you're aware of them. One is if you missed our first class last Wednesday night when we went over the syllabus, I want to make sure I catch all of you. So we're meeting tomorrow night at 7:30. You'll be logging on the same way we have written up in the announcements. So you'll be logging on with your computer. We're using Adobe. My classroom is Erin English. It's on our announcements page, but we're going to be muting our computer and just calling in on the conference line I've provided. And the reason is because sometimes when we're on Adobe, it cuts us off, the speaker off. And this way, when we're on the phone, we can all hear. So that's why I use both things. And there'll just be a couple of us, so we probably won't need to mute our phones unless there's some things going on in the background, which we've all experienced. Okay, going into this first assignment we have, going into week 2, the first assignment is completing a 5 to 10 slide school site budget PowerPoint. And it's due, I changed the due date, and the reason we changed the due date, for those of you who weren't on the class, is because the presentation takes place on the last week of school, or our last week of our class. So I wanted to make sure that you guys were fresh on your topic when you're doing the presentation on week 8. So the week 1 assignment is actually going to be due on week 8. However, what I don't want you to do is don't procrastinate this assignment, because again, going back to our discussion that we had last week, a lot of our principals are going to be so busy in this last week of school, they may not be able to provide you with the information to have a solid project. You're going to need to be talking about the current budget situations at your school. So you're going to be talking about that. You're going to be trying to get a budget from your principal. And this is something you can work with your partners and your groups with. I will have those out hopefully tomorrow night. So let me address this also. So your assignment, a week 1 assignment, is actually going to be due. It's not going to be due at the end of the week. It's going to be due at not the end of week 2. It's going to be due on the Tuesday of the last week of school, the last week of this class, on week 8. So I've updated it on the syllabus, and I think I've updated that on Blackboard. Speaking of Blackboard, I don't have all the dates in Blackboard yet of things that are due. I'm trying to keep up with that because some things change, but I want to, the syllabus should be updated. So pretty much refer to the syllabus because I have that with me all the time. So refer to the syllabus for assignments that are due. And the last thing I want to mention is I just sent out a link to everybody about our group assignments. So if you wouldn't mind by tonight, which is Sunday, if you wouldn't mind filling out this very, very short questionnaire. It's 3 questions. It's your name, who you prefer to work with, and if there's anyone you want to, at this time, not work with, that's fine, because a lot of people want to work with people they're comfortable with, and I totally understand that this program is for you. So please give me those names. I will put together the groups by tomorrow. I'm trying to, if I could get it done tonight, I will. If I get everyone's name in, if everyone can respond, and right now I believe there are 16 of you enrolled in the class. So if I hear from all 16 of you, then I will put the groups together. If I don't hear from somebody by this evening, by Sunday night, what I'm going to do is just make up groups with the people I don't hear from. So you'll get what I put together. And that's fine. It's, we're not doing it to be punitive. I'm just doing it to get the job done. Okay, so that brings me to our groups, our assignments, and now our topics of this week. So going into our assignments. Again, you're reading this book here. Hopefully you have this book, and I have 10. Now again, don't worry about if you don't have 10. We've talked about this. For those of you who can't get the book or you're having some problems, what I would recommend is maybe get an outline from somebody. Maybe somebody can make a copy of the topics that are going to be discussed in the table of contents. And then you'll know what we're going to be talking about, and you'll have an idea. And then just do Google searches and find out things that are up to date and current. Speaking of up to date and current, some of your assignments were outdated. So I did update the legislative analysis overview of California fiscal outlook. I made it to 2016, 2017. I would highly, if you've already watched it when it was at 2013 and 14, I'm going to highly recommend you go back and look at the 2016, 17 because it's a completely different outlook, and it's quite interesting. And I apologize, this was an outdated link. I didn't realize this link was still in there. So I put in the 2016, 17 outlook in there in the video. So that's on your syllabus, and it's also in Blackboard. Now going back to the two chapters we're going to be looking at, I want to point out a couple things that you may just draw your attention to. The financial crisis in public schools and the recovery it talks about, and that's on page 32 of 10. Just read that. It just talks about how much students get per year. That's something that you're always going to be wanting to be aware of, is how much ADA or how much we get per children. Now it's different now because of it's LCFF. It's different. The funding now, we get base funding, so it's a different funding formula. But we still get per child, per student. We still get money, and so you're going to be looking at that. A couple other things I wanted to point out are the student achievement on page 37. So it'll be on a different page on your book if you don't have that. Student achievement. It talks about how California. They're on the PISA test, they're talking about how students in California are scoring lower than most sadly, tragically, most of the kids in the world. So that's why we're trying to transform our education now, because the other countries are addressing this crisis right now. There's just so many good things in these chapters. So just even if you're not even ever going into any kind of business, financial world in education, it's something I think just read this book and or maybe someone can make copies of the chapters for you. Maybe your partners, you could share chapter copies or something. The role of the chief business officer, I mentioned that before. I would highly recommend that you get to know your business services CIO or anyone else in that department. Get to know them really well. Get a trusting relationship going with them so that if you have questions or you start panicking and like you wake up and go, oh no, my budget, talk to them about it. Talk to them and find out what they can guide you through this. They've done it a lot longer than we have. So, and this is what they do all the time. So that's all I have this week to talk to you about. So if you have any questions, again, I'm trying to keep up with your emails. If I missed something, please let me know. I should have, today is Sunday. I'm going to be posting this video about noon, or a little bit earlier today, because I want to make sure everyone knows to please do that survey that I post. Do the little survey so that I can put your groups together so that you could start working with each other. And these groups will be the groups you're going to be working with throughout the whole course together, okay? And we have 4 assignments that are due, and these are assignments you can work with your partners on your groups with on all of the assignments. And we talked about that because Concordia really promotes collaborative work. All right, that's all I have, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.